Well, good morning, guys. C here from Virginia Grace Living. So right now I'm out here in the backyard garden by my green beans. I'm going to go ahead and pick some of these, and then we're going to head inside and I'm going to show you a way to preserve your green beans without having to can them. Sometimes as a person with a smaller plot like myself, you may not have room to put rows and rows of green beans where you can get a whole bunch at one time in order to can them. So I do have a pressure canner, which is recommended to use for green beans. But I'm going to show you a way to do it if you don't have a pressure canner, and it's sort of a little bit easier and less time consuming, and it's just as good. So we're going to go ahead and pick whatever we have out here. I have some in the house that I've had in the refrigerator for a couple of days, and then we're going to start preparing those to be preserved. All right, let's see what we got here for green beans this morning. These are the kind of thing you got to check. You know, you got to check your green beans almost every day, because some that you come out and pick one day will be small, and the next day they get too big if you don't stay on top of them. So got a bunch of nice ones right here that are a little bit smaller. Probably give them another day, but I'm sure we'll have plenty once we start getting into this that need to be picked. So stick around, and we're gonna go inside in just a minute. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick these guys, pick as many as I can, and then I'll see you in the house. All right, this is what I got just now, just kind of messing around back there. I'm sure there's more. It's getting hot, but we're gonna add them to this right here. So I've been saving these, maybe like, this is probably 2 or 3 days worth of beans right here. So this is a pretty decent sized bowl. What we're gonna do is first is get these kind of washed up, and then we're gonna take off the ends here. So another thing about these that are really good is they're stringless. So I don't have to make sure that I get all the strings and this, that, and the other. All we really gotta worry about is this end and that end. So I just cut the ends off and then snap them. So really, you don't even have to cut them. You can do that by hand. So we're gonna get started doing some of that, getting these rinsed off, and then I'm going to take you on to the next step, which is going to be to blanch them, and then we're going to put them in freezer bags and seal them up. So like I said, we're just going to go ahead and snap these off the ends right here and just kind of break them in half like that. Yeah, pretty simple. Something you could do with your kids if you want, or something like, you know, back in the day you'd see grandma and people sitting on the front porch, and they'd just be out here taking care of the green beans, except for they had to string them usually. These stringless, so we just take the ends off, crack them in half. You can do 2 or 3 at a time if you really want to. Depends on how much time you have and if you're in a hurry or not. So let's get these completely done. I'm gonna speed this video up. We got our green beans all snapped. I had a beautiful, lovely assistant, Amber, help me snap them this morning. Went way faster that way. So what I'm going to do now is just going to kind of rinse these off real quick. Nothing too crazy, because, Alright, I will let you know. So we're just going to rinse these, drain it real quick, and then we're going to put some water to where it's about 1 inch over the top of this. So we're just going to kind of drain the water off, just rinse them off real quick. Alright, so before we get started, we're going to go ahead and have some ice ready, because we don't really want to cook these, we just want to blanch them real quick. So they're still going to be bright green. We're just killing any germs on them and just getting them ready to freeze. They freeze better once they're blanched. So we're going to get the ice. Go ahead and get your ice ready. Kosher salt. And we're going to go ahead and bring this to a boil. Alright, so all I'm doing with the salt is we're going to do approximately 1 tablespoon. So I use my handy dandy built-in measuring spoon right here. So that's, I'll call that a tablespoon. And then we're gonna go ahead and bring this up to a boil, and we're gonna boil it for 3 minutes. You don't wanna go much over that. Once that's done, we're gonna completely turn it off, drain it immediately, get it into the ice water, and let it cool down before we freeze it. All right, so we're not up to a full roll and boil yet. We do want to bring that completely up to a boil before we start our timer. I'm going ahead and just kind of stirring these up. I'm using, this is normally I use for frying, but it works really good for getting green beans out, you know, straining them, stuff like that. So we're just going to continue to kind of stir these around until this comes to a boil. Once it comes to that full nice roll and boil, we're going to start our 3-minute timer. All right, we're boiling now, so I'm going to go ahead and hit my timer. Timer 3, 0, 0, and start. All right, I've added a little bit more ice on top of these just real quick. Just gonna let these chill for a second and get that temperature down, and then we're gonna drain them again and start bagging them up. So I'm using a vacuum sealer, and if you don't have a vacuum sealer, that's all right. You can use, you know, gallon or quart size Ziploc bags. Just get as much air as you can out of them. Alright guys, and there you have it. So we just made these 4 bags. You know, it's not a huge amount, but if I do this every few days, I'm going to have a lot of beans in the freezer. So the way that my beans grow and the way, you know, the time that I have, this is just making the best sense for me right now. At some point I may make a different video on actually canning these. I do have a pressure canner and I do use it whenever I feel like it's advantageous. But for me right now, this is what I wanted to do today, just kind of show you guys. I figured if I'm doing this, I might as well record it and just share the process with you guys. So I also just want to remind everybody, look, if you feel like you can't grow food or you don't have enough room or, you know, whatever, that's not true. You can grow wherever you're planted. If you have a small space, I have a small space, right? You can do a little bit. You can actually do a lot more than you think with a small space. I just want to encourage everybody. If you have any questions, go ahead and reach out and shoot me a message, or go ahead and shoot me a comment on YouTube. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and share. I greatly appreciate it. So that's pretty much it for today, guys. I really appreciate you guys watching. So as always, God bless, and thanks for watching.